the Princess of Wales. And you're going, who's that? It's Kate out of Wills and What's It? Kate, 40, was the picture of compassion as she chatted with sorrowful dignitaries from the Commonwealth during a special lunch at Buckingham Palace with the help of the new King, Queen Consort, Prince of Wales, Earl of Wessex and Princess Royal. The royal mother of three, dressed in a black ankle-length dress with a long 3-strand pearl necklace and matching bracelet, was photographed smiling at Camilla as the pair chatted and also placed her hand on the arm of St. Lucia Governor-General Cyril Errol Melchiades Charles as they spoke. William is truly natural with the crowds. Royal fans say how proud Princess Diana would be of the new Prince of Wales after his surprise walkabout with King Charles III to greet those in the 16-hour queue. King Charles III and Prince William embarked on a surprise walkabout on the South Bank in London today. Royals greeted those waiting upwards of 16 hours in line for the Queen's lying in state in Westminster Hall. One royal fan said, "William is a true natural," while others said Princess Diana would be so proud of him. Right, so that's them. Meghan, meanwhile, is still an evil witch who stole our precious Harry and can't let go of his hand when she should be showing respect for the Queen, and her children will not be granted HRH status, and it serves her right for being the scheming, uppity harpy she is. Compare and contrast. 0345 6060 973. Jacob says, have you seen the video of someone confronting King Charles about the cost of living crisis? He kind of shrugs his shoulders and then his bodyguard stands in the way of the peasant. Blackheath, hello Joanne.
Hello Nick.
Joanne.
Hello, I'm very pleased that you're back on. I missed you a lot last week.
Appreciate it, Joanne.
Thank you.
So I phoned to talk about paying tax.
Tax?
Yes. The little people, not leprechauns, paying tax.
Right.
So I had a letter this week from HMRC.
Stop. From where?
From HMRC.
No.
What should it be?
HMRC.
HMRC?
No. HMRC.
Yes.
Say it.
HMRC.
No.
No. HMRC.
HMRC.
No. I'm not going to get past this, Joanne. We have to get this right before we proceed.
Yes. Okay.
Listen to me now, very carefully.
Okay.
HMRC. Now you.
HMRC.
No. I'll say it again. HMRC. Now you.
HMRC. What are you doing to me, Nick?
No, Joanne. I'll give it one more go. Listen very carefully.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yes.
HMRC. Now you.
HMRC.
By Jove, I think she's got it. I don't know.
A long time.
A long time. I don't know why, but it just really rubs me up the wrong way when I hear that. And I often find myself shouting at the radio because adverts, people are paid money to speak, and even they get it wrong. Oddly and ironically, H does not have an H at the beginning of it. AITCH.
I shall have to work on my pronunciation.
Your pronunciation.
My pronunciation.
Yeah, anyway, go on.
So I was going to say, I had a letter
from where?
An authority. I'm not doing that again. Where I owe £50.40 from my tax from 2020 to 2021.
Wow.
Now, I earned the minimum wage for part of that year. I was made redundant. I worked for an agency, and then I was taken on from the firm where I work, from an agency, and unbeknownst to me, there was an overlap in my payments where I was overpaid by £50 and 40p. So the agency has now decided to come after me for that money.
What?
Which they will not write off because, as they said to me, if they wrote that off for everybody, then, there would be a big hole in the finances.
Right.
But what I can't understand is why it is that we're able to write off £5 billion of the COVID bounce back loans.
Yeah.
But the agency is coming after me.
Right. Well, the reason for that is very simple, Joanne, and it's the same reason behind whether you owe a lot or a little to a bank. If you owe a bank £50, then you are in trouble. If you owe a bank £500 million, then the bank is in trouble.
Yes. It's just very depressing, isn't it? I mean, I've just had a pay rise, which I was very, very excited about. And now my pay rise will get completely and utterly eaten up by money that I didn't realise I owed from 2 years ago when I worked very hard, was very upset to be made redundant, didn't claim any benefits.
Right.
But yet, cost of living crisis, and I've got to pay this back.
Well, here's a good idea for the company that made this error in your favour. Yeah. Now, if they didn't keep making errors like this, then they wouldn't lose out. So it's not that if they write it off, then they would lose out. If they didn't keep making that mistake, they wouldn't lose out.
I mean, it wasn't my fault. I've always been paid PAYE.
Yeah.
And they asked me if I realised that there'd been an error. But how would you realise there'd be an error on that? It's just not very fair, is it? And then you've got Prince Charles not paying any inheritance tax. Yeah. But yet, little old me, who's struggling to pay the bills...
Yes. Guilty.
Yes. Not only can I not say my H's...
No.
Or H's...
Yes.
Guilty as charged, Your Honour.
Exactly. Those H's that you just said, they sounded the same to me, suspiciously the same to me. What is it?
Don't say that. Please don't do this to me again.
Have we learned nothing in the past 2 minutes?
I'm going to listen to this back on the whole show and try and get it right.
Right. Get it right.
The next time.
And then we'll have...
You're fading me out now.
And then we'll have lesson number 2. Paul in East London says, Prince Harry and the Duchess of Sussex have been uninvited from tomorrow's functions. What's wrong with the Royal Palace team? This is not how you send out olive branches. Yeah, you'd have to say that there's at least a few people in the royal firm, the business, that don't seem to be very nice. 0345 6060 973. East Yorkshire. Hello, Annabelle.
Hello, darling. How are you?
I am great, mate.
Absolutely fantastic to have you back.
Thanks.
Just a quick one. I thought I'd make things a bit lively tonight.
Yes.
I was listening to the gentleman earlier talk about his cat and guinea pig. First of all, I didn't know that whatever his name is, Quasimodo, Quasi-Kwarteng, had gone from being business development to Chancellor. So it's in his interest, like you said, to go from being one to the other. Like you said, he's obviously looking for his next job come the general election.
I think they all are.
Well, yeah, that's it, literally, because we know they're not going to win.
You know what? I would be prepared to spend a small amount of money to lay a bet that they will.
Well, that's only because we're dumb and we keep making, like you say, the same mistake.
The same mistake over and over again. Yeah.
Exactly. But the other thing as well, Charles as well, talking about the inheritance tax, we're stupid. Us peasants are stupid. We were going to stand for hours and hours in a queue to fawn over somebody and have them touch our hand, knowing that this man will never pay what is due to. So they must look at us and think,
It's not,
okay.
but it's not. It's not the royal family. It's the rich in general.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
That's the reason why the people in the middle classes in this country who think that they finally made it or that they should be comfortably well off, considering how much they earn, they find that they aren't. They are struggling to get by. The comfortably middle class don't have a bean to rub together because they are the only ones that are paying any tax in this country.
Well, I am that person. I have my own business, and I've just received a VAT bill for £7,000. So, yeah, £7,000. Yeah, and that's not my PAYE, but I've got to pay it. Otherwise, it's. But that's not. I thought I'll bring some likeness to the meetings, as it were.
Yeah.
So, sister visited recently. Took her into the city to do some girly shopping thing that I hate. Received a phone call from husband who said, somebody's just posted on Facebook, has anybody lost a black and white cat? If you have, it's deceased on a local lane.
Oh.
Husband upset, it's obviously our cat. He goes searching for cat, can't find it. I turn car around, come all the way home and find our cat deceased. Okay? Somebody put it onto the side. I wrap it up in fleece. Bring it home, husband's bereft, wrap it in a blanket, send it with some cat biscuits, a ball and whatever it was, and my husband dug a hole and we buried it. Okay? I go back into town, leaving husband to cry into his drinks, and he rings me again to say, our cat has just walked in the house. We buried the wrong cat.
Uh-oh.
We'd buried somebody else's dead cat.
Right, well, as long as it was a dead cat.
Oh, no, it's definitely dead.
Right.
Definitely dead. But then we had to find the actual owners, dig up the cat.
Oh.
Because they wanted it back. Dig up the cat, wrap it in the blanket again and put it in an Amazon box, and he had to deliver it. It's like something I had 1 foot in the grave. Unfortunately, like 4 paws in the grave.
That's awful, Annabelle.
No, I do apologise. I'm going to hell anyway, so,
Right, okay, I'll see you there. All right. Thanks a lot. Cheers, my dear. 0345 6060 973. I am very sorry about that last story.
I am very sorry that I screwed up. Totally I am so sorry. You just don't know how sorry I am. I'm sorry.
Most apologetic. Philip tweets, Nick, if you don't like people saying H, how do you feel about people saying new when they mean new? Well, it doesn't rub my fur up the wrong way like H does. I just can't bear it. I do find myself shouting at radios and televisions when people say it because, I must be among the minority because it seems to be the majority of the people pronounce H as H. Even then, just me saying it just then, it's like a shiver went through me. I don't know what it is. I just can't abide it. On that subject, Stephen Belfast texts, pronounce the following words: hair, hat, house, hole, not air, at, house, hole. See, that doesn't bother me that much. Like dropping the H entirely from words, that's almost a dialect. But saying H, there's nothing dialectical about it. Is dialectical the right word in this regard?
No.
It doesn't matter. Who cares? It's not like we're keeping score. Camden, Claire. Claire?
Hi, Nick.
There you are. Yes, Claire.
The previous wear outer of the PM's chair.
The what?
The previous wear outer of the PM's chair.
The previous wearer outer. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
The person who occupied the PM's chair?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Promised about 700 million for the development of the nuclear power industry.
Did he? Where's he going to get that then?
Sorry?
Where's he going to get that then? Same place as he got the money to pay for his wedding, probably.
My point was in a different direction. How do you compare 700 million to 30 plus billion for an app?
For an app, yeah. 700 million is not going to get you a nuclear power station. 700 million pounds will get you the front door to the offices next to the nuclear power station, but it ain't going to get you no power.
Yeah. And if nuclear power plants come with an app, we wouldn't be able to.
That's true.
We wouldn't be able to afford a nuclear power plant.
Well, we could afford the plant, but we just wouldn't be able to afford the app. That's all.
And if this nuclear power plant would need a 2 kilometer of railway,
forget it. Yeah.
Getting next to it,
then we'll cancel the entire idea. Yeah, it's beyond our ability.
And this 2 kilometer cost 100+ billion.
Yeah. And if, furthermore, you have to build a bridge over a small river to get to the thing in the first place, well, we'll just cancel the whole idea.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Yeah, the idea is off. We're just going to have to suffer in the dark.
I don't know how much a plant for candles would cost.
Well, if you leave it to the government to buy a candle, then it'll be £500 million each. And they wouldn't light.
Probably.
Yeah. All right. Thanks a lot, Claire.
Thank you.
Okay. Cheers, my dear. 0345 6060 973. This text says, the one that gets me is when people say properly rather than properly. Properly, not rather than properly. Alan says, what about those that use an instead of as in an historic event? Well, before an H, I always say an. It's not a historic event because there's a stop in it. A historic event. You can't run those words together. A historic event. It's impossible. You can't do it. A historic event. There's always like a bit of a gap there. But an historic event, it just rolls right off the tongue. Declan emails, H is for hatchet. By your logic, we should say, have you heard Ari and Henry had hamburgers at the hospital? It's H. Yeah, I'm not talking about whether you drop the H or not. I'm just talking about when people say the letter H. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, not H. It is ironic that the word H doesn't start with an H. Let's have Selzy, Maxime.
Oh, hello.
Maxime.
I ain't spoken to you for ages, my flower pot.
I know. Haven't I been lucky?
Have you been down to see Her Majesty the Queen?
I have not. No, I've seen the pictures on TV.
Yeah. Do you think, like, as famous people, like, you may be able to, like, sneak through the queue?
Famous people might be able to, but you're talking to me, Maxine.
Yeah, well, don't worry. You get in where a draft won't, my darling. You are right. You can sneak in anywhere now.
I think that David Beckham, I mean, he's had a lot of press for doing it, but then David Beckham gets a lot of press regardless of what he does.
You know what gets me?
I think fair play. Hang on a minute. I'll listen to what gets you in just a minute. But fair play to him for standing there because he's so famous that everywhere he goes, he would have to expect to get mobbed. I mean, he's not. Yeah. He can't do anything without attracting attention. And he was kind of doing his best not to attract attention at all. In fact, there was several hours went by before, as far as I read, that people actually realised that he was there. And he could have gone straight to the front of the queue because he was offered a queue jumping ticket by some MP. And fair play to him, he said no. If I was that famous, I wouldn't want to be stuck in a crowd of people for 14 hours. So I think he deserves a bit of credit, but of course he didn't get any credit because the news organisations went straight to he's just doing this for a bit of publicity, which is the stupidest thing that they could have said because that man does not, if anybody on earth does not need the publicity, it's David Beckham.
I agree with you. I totally agree, but they turned around and said he was there alone. I don't agree he was there alone. He must have had people around him, because otherwise he would have been mobbed, wouldn't he?
Well, it didn't look like he had anybody around him. I mean,
but
in the pictures...
If he'd been there for 13 hours, right, which I agree with everything you've said, fair play to the guy. Had he been there for 13 hours, wouldn't somebody have spotted him along the way?
Well, they did, yeah. And then they started saying, oh, my God, I'm standing next to David Beckham, and posting it on social media. And so people were aware.
I didn't see that bit. Anyway, look, I'm not here to talk about them. Are you talking about guinea pigs?
Well, we were talking about guinea pigs.
Yeah,
and how many guinea pigs it takes to make a meal.
Right, I'm not talking about guinea pigs. I'm talking about my pigeons, right?
Pigeons?
Because back last year, I phoned you and I said I had pigeons nesting in my tree. And you looked up a picture of a baby pigeon and you hated
pigeon.
it.
Ugliest thing you've ever seen in your life.
I know. Well, I have no baby pigeons this year, but guess what I have got? Go on.
A guinea pig?
Nah.
No.
I've got a big fat hedgehog with 2 baby hedgehogs.
Oh, what do they look like?
They look like conkers. You know when you get conkers and they not out the shell and they got all the prickles round them, my flower pot?
Yes.
They look like that, but they're not green.
Right, just don't try and string one up and
why would I do that to a hedgehog?
And have a game with them.
No. Yeah.
I've heard that you make them harder if you soak them in vinegar.
No, but I'll tell you what you can do. If you drill a hole in them, not the hedgehog, Right, if you take the... Please, could you have loads of listeners phoning up saying I'm drilling holes in hedgehogs? No, I'm not.
Right.
If you get the conker, take it out that prickly green bit, drill a little hole in, and if you don't like spiders, you put them in the corner of each. I promise you,
Nonsense.
Nick, this works. I promise you. I promise you.
That is rubbish.
I promise you. No, it's not.
It is, and I know that that's true because my mum used to do that, and spiders would sit on them and give.
No, that's not right. No, it's not right. That's wrong.
And they would give me an arachnid finger for just thinking.
No, look, I'm telling you, no. Honestly, your mum obviously didn't drill a hole in the conker.
Well, that's true.
Give out a smell.
Yeah, that is true. There was no hole in the conker. The conker was whole.
No, well, there's no good just shoving a conker down in front of the telly, is there?
Well, I don't know. That's what I thought.
Anyway, are you working on Monday?
Monday? No.
No. Will you be watching all the funeral on the telly? I will be.
Well, if I'm near a TV, I will certainly think about it.
Will you be eating your pizza? Because you normally have that for Christmas dinner, don't you?
But probably not at the same time, no.
What, you can't eat a pizza and watch telly?
No, well, I can, but not that particular programme. I wouldn't think it would be conducive to eating a pizza. I don't think so.
So what will you be doing on Monday, my flower pot?
Well, sleeping, almost certainly. Quite a bit of that.
Why?
Why?
You can't sleep if you're going to be on the radio in the evening chatting about the Queen's funeral. You won't know what's going on.
Listen to me, Maxine. I am not going to be on Monday.
Why? You got a night off?
Well, I don't normally do Mondays.
Well, it's about time you did, because who's on a Monday? Because they ain't no good. We need more of you during the week to liven us up.
Right, an unsolicited testimonial. Thanks a lot, Maxine. Cheers, my dear. You've said too much. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's at LBC. Friday, Saturday, Sunday at 10. Not Monday. LBC.
This is LBC. Leading Britain's conversation. LBC with Nick Abbot.
Would you mind telling me what this is all about?
Yes, it's about the petting zoo over at Maxine's place. This text says, send Maxine pest controllers. She had squirrels the other year. Kay says, oh my God, to need to a weekly half-hour podcast with this lady, Nick. You need to, perhaps, maybe. You need to do a weekly half-hour podcast with Maxine. Let me think about that.
No.
No. I wouldn't get a word in edgeways, apart from anything else. Jasmine says, hi, Nick, what do you think about Therese Coffey doing away with the Oxford comma? Oh, for crying out loud. These people. You have to think that they're doing it in order to goad us. Like they wake up in the morning and think, what can we do to them today? What punishment can we dole out today? How can we gaslight them even more than we did last week? We'll just poke them with a stick and see if they like that. And so far, we say, thank you, sir, may I have another? The Oxford comma. I mean, of all of the rest of the things that woman's got on her plate. No offence, but she has an enormous amount on her plate, does Therese Coffey. But that Oxford comma thing, God. I got detailed files. The new health secretary, she's the health secretary, can you believe that?
No.
The new health secretary has told healthcare workers to be positive as they grapple with job cuts and a deepening cost of living crisis. Just think positive thoughts, says Therese Coffey. The new health secretary is Therese Coffey, who was appointed by Prime Minister Liz Truss this month, because when people think health, they think Therese Coffey. Cigar-chomping bon viveur Therese Coffey issued the guidance to hundreds of health staff in an email last Thursday. The guidance says, cheer up, it might never Oh no, that's right, it already has. Staff were told to avoid using Oxford commas because that's the most important thing that's facing the NHS at the moment. The contested punctuation mark that precedes the last item on a written list. She started with the big stuff. And to think that people wondered why Coffey had been given the job. She knows how to prioritise. Coffey's guidance angered health workers, many of whom were on the front lines during the COVID pandemic and who now face real terms pay cuts and the added pressures as infection rates are expected to rise over winter. But they got a clap on a few Thursdays for a couple of minutes. What more do they want? Coffey instructed employees to be precise and be positive. If you've done something good, let's say so and avoid double negatives, she said, or Coffey will see you after class. Said one person with knowledge of the mood at the UK Health Security Agency. The email was super patronising. It does make you consider if you're in the right place when a new minister comes in with this, they said. The idea that they'll have to frame issues positively indicates a person who doesn't want to deal with the problem, so that's not encouraging, they said. Or, as Liz the Brains Truss would say,
we have never had it so good.
That email caused particular frustration among staff at UKHSA, the Health Security Agency, which was born out of Public Health England last year and has been the main agency in charge of dealing with outbreaks including COVID-19 and monkeypox and polio. Their workers said they were demoralised after the government earlier this year made substantial job cuts to fixed-term staff who were involved in the outbreak during the pandemic. According to people with knowledge of the matter, they've been warned internally that job cuts of up to 70% in some departments could seriously hinder its response to outbreaks. These are the people that respond to outbreaks, pandemics, and they're going to fire them. The COVID pandemic is not over. We've got monkeypox and polio and all sorts of things that are popping up all over the globe, each one of which could be the next big thing. Epidemiologists have predicted we're entering the age of the pandemic, and this government is actually closing the agency that deals with that. I mean, at some point you have to wonder, are they actually trying to kill us? Or the poor ones of us anyway? Staff at that agency have been offered a one-off 350 quid payment in recognition of, quotes, extraordinary efforts.
Oh, fabulous.
Wow. And in the very same breath, they're lifting the cap on bonuses for bankers. But the people who brought us through the COVID pandemic get 350 quid and are expected to say thank you for it, in recognition of the extraordinary efforts of the past couple of years. As according to documents seen by the Financial Times, some permanent staff at the Health Protection Agency have been offered a 2.5% pay increase to help manage the cost of living, according to insiders. They said we're actually getting a salary cut. UK inflation is expected to hover around the low double digits. They're getting 2.5%. After everything we've done to respond to the COVID pandemic, including extensive overtime working, including bank holidays, we're getting pay increases that are way below current inflation rates. You're getting a 10% pay cut for everything you've done. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Anything else? The government, of course, said we value enormously all of the hard-working colleagues who work tirelessly to make our nation's health secure and blah, blah, blah. You know, if only health workers were billionaires, or ran a hedge fund, or owned a bank, or had Russian connections, then maybe they could have stumped up enough money to the Conservative Party to actually get some policy to go their way. But they failed to do any of those simple things, so they get nothing. Which, I'd have to say...
That is a disgrace.
I can't believe I'm about to say this, but I agree with Liz Truss. The Oxford comma. I mean, to have actually come out with that... I mean, do you even know what an Oxford comma is? It's the last... it's the second from last thing in a list before the word and. Like, if our cars come in red, yellow, brown and blue, it would be red, comma, yellow, comma, brown, comma, and that comma is the Oxford comma, and blue. But it's there for a purpose. Because if I said that our cars come in red, comma, yellow, comma, brown and blue, then that implies you've got three colours, or three types. One's red, one's yellow, and one's brown and blue. The Oxford comma is there for a purpose because it tells you there's actually four colours, not two colours, and some sort of hybrid, hideous mess that's brown and blue. Anybody want a brown and blue car?
No.
Didn't think so.
Hey, Shorty, AIR.
Helen emails, when I volunteered for an RSPCA charity shop, we often got phone calls from people who wanted to know what they should do with a run-over dead cat. Sadly, the answer was that the charity couldn't really help because animals involved in road accidents are dead and can't really be helped, says Helen. It's a very uncaring attitude, Helen. Here's a call in Mitcham. Hello, Peter. Peter.
Hello, Nick.
Yes, Peter.
Right. I've got to upbraid you a bit, if I may.
Uh-oh.
Now, you're complaining about people putting the H in H.
Yes.
Which I also find rather annoying.
Mm-hmm.
But you yourself have been guilty of a dreadful grammatical faux pas when people say, how are you? And you're saying, I am good.
What should I say?
I'm fine, or I'm well.
Well, what I usually say is good thanks, which is the shortest version that I can think of.
Well, yes, but it's still incorrect, isn't it? Because what you're using is an adjective which has no attached noun. So the function of a sentence, or the structure of a sentence, fundamentally, is object, subject, noun.
Well, I disagree there, Peter. I think the object of a sentence is to impart information.
Well, yes, but it's still grammatically incorrect.
What? But
because it's I am good at what? subject, noun, adjective, it's not followed by a noun.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. However, my dislike of people saying H is because it is fundamentally incorrect. There is no H in H. In H.
Oh, I agree. I find that equally annoying because I'm a I'm a linguistic Nazi.
Good to know. But when we're talking about grammar, well, then there is no hard and fast rule that applies from one year to the next because the language changes all the time. It is not set in stone. Even Shakespeare couldn't spell his own name. So, if he couldn't do that, then I'm perfectly at liberty to say good thanks when to impart the brief bit of information. I mean, it's not even information that people are after. It's just a way to start a conversation. So I'm okay with making a grammatical error as long as it just greases the wheels.
Right, I'm quite happy to accept that. I'm gradually getting over it. It's taken me about 20 years to become not quite so annoyed.
Right.
As to correct people, as to say when I'd say, how are you? And they say, I'm good. Oh, that's fantastic. But what? That was a great answer to a question I didn't ask.
Yes. It's only taken you 20 years to get over that.
Oh, yeah, I'm only just managing now. It's a long time since I've complained about it. But then I once, when I worked on English language at an awarding body, and I was with a teacher who was one of the principal examiners, and she said, "Do you know, you wouldn't know what happened the other day?" And I said, "What's that?" She said, "Oh, a student used the word garbage in her essay. Isn't that awful?" And I said, "Well, what was wrong with it?" And she said, "It's an Americanism."
Yes.
And I said, "No, garbage is used in Hamlet, whereas awful is an Americanization, which makes no sense when you think about it."
Yeah, as in full of awe.
Yes.
Mm. Yes, that does seem to be...
But language does change.
It does, all the time, yeah. So
yes,
let me ask...
My wife always gets... Sorry.
Yeah, no, my life always... What?
My wife always gets confused with the difference between sensitive and sensible because she's a Spanish speaker. And the thing is that for her, sensitivo is sensible and sensible is sensitive.
Right. Well, that sounds like a foreign language. It's all Spanish.
No, it's
Spanish.
Not just that. It's
Spanish
just
is
our
all
understanding of it in
Spanish
English
is all Dutch to me.
Right. Well, the thing is that what fundamentally has happened in English is that the English have mangled the use of the word because it's come into common usage.
Well, that's the nature of a language. It's mangling itself all the time. And it's delightful to mangle the language. I mean, if we were all still speaking like they did in Shakespeare's time, then for a start, I wouldn't be able to understand what anybody was saying. And the second, it would not be a living, breathing thing. It changes all the time. It's malleable, Peter. Get over it. But in closing, let me ask you this one.
I quite agree.
Let me ask you this one thing.
Right, go on then.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I'm very well.
Okay. Glad to hear it. Thanks a lot, Peter. 0345 6060 973. Lorraine texts, Tree's coffin is not good news. The clue's in the name. Let's have Highgate. Hello, Claire.
Oh, hello, hi. Nick.
Yes.
If ever you have said a single word to me that I disagreed with or been unkind to me ever in all the time I've spoken to you, which is that you haven't, never you haven't, then you would still be forgiven for that wonderful, wonderful, wonderful little segment, that 8th segment, which had me rolling on the floor with laughter, and it should go in your archive. It was brilliant. It was so wonderful. And it was wonderful because... Just being serious for a moment, you managed to correct it until she said it correctly, without any acrimony, without any unpleasantness, and she was a complete darling. I just think that was such a lovely segment, so wonderful. But then, recently you brought me down in my life. I was quite happy after that, but then you brought me down by talking about coffee and all of that stuff. That segment really depressed me.
Yes.
But as a result of that, I'm going to continue to be quite annoyed, tell you what the worst one is. Worse than H, and worse than other people saying Holborn as well, by the way, which you haven't brought up yet. Holborn, which is another bad one. Holborn, they say.
Well,
But
that's one of those. Hang on a minute. That's one of those words in English where an extra letter or several are added in order to catch people out, like Magdalen College. It's not Magdalen, it's Magdalen. Well, why are there so many extra letters in there?
Yes, I know. And Fanshawe as well.
Exactly.
Yeah. But the one that's worse than absolutely all of them is the word brought, which everybody has now decided to pronounce as bought. And it is a raging pandemic of mispronunciation. And it is even intelligent, extremely highly educated people across the airwaves saying bought. Yeah, they are. They're saying bought, not brought.
Well, use it in a sentence.
Well, I bought you over your jumper that you left at my place instead of brought. Everybody's saying it, and I do not understand it at all. It's almost like an affectation, you know, when very posh people can't say their R's and they say W's. But it beggars belief. I don't understand why. Why? Have you not heard that one? Really?
Well, you know what? Now you've told me, I'll hear it all the time. It'll be one of those things. Yeah.
Yeah, you will.
Well, I'm glad that you brought that to my attention.
Don't wind me up, Nick, or you'll undo all the good work you did in the previous part of the programme.
Right. Just pretend you didn't hear that.
I'll pretend I didn't hear it, yeah.
All right. Okay. Thanks a lot, Claire.
Bye-bye.
Cheers, my dear. Ta-da. 0345 6060 973. Joe says, if I send you a message, I will often over-punctuate in order to assist you if, in the unlikely event that you read it out on live radio, it conveys meaning to both you and your audience. And it was that message completely correct in every respect. There was 1, 2, 3, 4 commas. Excellent work, Joe. Millie in Wales says, Nick, I'm not bothered about the sheep all snaking their way to doff their caps, but I cannot stand all those flowers wrapped in plastic. I bet the florists are rubbing their hands in glee. Yeah, don't wrap them in plastic. If you're going to leave flowers, take the plastic home with you. Because, I mean, imagine the job that somebody's going to have to go through all of those flowers and deplasticize them. Because they're going to have to go in a landfill, aren't they? They're going to go in a big skip that'll come around, but they're going to have to, for the benefit of the planet, they're going to have to separate the flowers from the plastic. So why don't you do them a favour and do that first? I'm just trying to help. Am I helping yet?
No.
0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. If you're on Twitter, it's @LBC.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet @LBC. Text 84850.
Come on, we're running late.
Max in Wingrove emails, I hate it when people say Pacific instead of specific. Excited for instead of excited about. Well, you can be excited for someone, can't you? Sketty instead of spaghetti. Who says that? Would instead of would have, or would of rather instead of would have. And when people start every sentence with basically. Okay, good to know. Thanks a lot, Max. Regent's Park. Hello, Vance.
Hi, Nick. Nick, you've used some pretty powerful words this evening to describe the government. You talked about evil. You used the word evil, and I agree with you, by the way, and treason as well. And these are two qualities that I assign particularly to Johnson's government. And you might have noticed about a week ago, there was a High Court case to force the government to release documents on the Rwanda policy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware that there was... no, this is news to me. Go ahead.
Okay. The government, Priti Patel particularly, refused to release documents around the Rwanda policy. And they've been taken to court, and the High Court ruled that they had to release documents. And in those documents, they show that there was a concern after concern expressed directly to Patel about the unsuitability of Rwanda as a country of asylum.
I don't understand why this has come out just now, because this was known a long time ago.
Yeah, but they've actually given details that Patel knew about extrajudicial killings, recruitment of refugees to conduct armed operations in neighbouring countries.
That's right. Torture.
Child soldiers.
Don't forget the torture.
Torture, a red traffic light rating in relation to its human rights record, and the government were trying to cover this up, Nick.
Yeah.
Surely that is evil.
Well, it seems analogous to evil to me. Yeah.
I think so. And, I would go further and say that the whole conduct, the way they've sort of brought the reputation of Britain down, and with all its bickering and stuff like that, it's tantamount to treason.
I don't think they're remotely interested in our reputation. I think it's. I think their interests start and end in cash money, and reputation can go hang. No, the Foreign Office specifically told about a year or so before some bright spark came up with this Rwanda plan. The Foreign Office's position on Rwanda was that it was a dangerous place. They talked about arbitrary detention, torture, killings, and all of the rest of it. And then within the space of a couple of years, apparently Rwanda had solved all of those problems, and now it was a garden of delight, and everybody should be thrilled to go there.
Yeah. I mean, there's evil is the only word for it, because it disgusts me. One other thing, Nick, you were talking about the Oxford comma and how Coffey wants us to delete it. I think they raise these petty matters just to distract us from the real problems.
Yes.
To get us talking excitedly about the Oxford comma when there are much deeper things that are going wrong.
Exactly. So columnists and me, I'm guilty of it, but somebody did bring it up rather than me just start going off on one about it. But people will start talking about this. How dare they, talk about, we've got all this other stuff going on, and we'll be concentrating on that rather than all of the other stuff. And it keeps happening over and over again. So it's not an accident. It's not it's not them misspeaking. It's the plan.
It's the plan. And using the word plan, can I just say one other thing, Nick? You're quite right. I mean, these governments have been short-termist, and it's revealed by their use of the word plan. Why don't they use the proper word strategy? They never talk about strategy, do they? It's always plan. And there's a huge difference between the two words. A decent government would talk about strategy, long-term,
It's always, what would Donald Trump do?
There's no strategy. I have no strategy. There's zero strategy.
Zero strategy. All right, thanks a lot, Vance. Cheers. 0345 6060 973. This says, I once owned a florist in Liverpool, and one day the little cards got mixed up. The card that should have gone to the couple who had just moved into the new home instead went to a funeral saying, "Welcome to our new home." Your new home. Screwed that one up. Never mind. Welcome to your new home. Hackney. Jessica.
Hi.
Jessica,
Nick.
how you doing?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Great, mate.
Yay. I just wanted to say that I really love your work, and I was sitting here with my friend Amber.
Jessica and Amber.
Hi.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really good. How are you?
I'm super. Thanks for asking.
That's okay. Have you ever seen the South Park episode that goes along with that?
I have.
I thought you might have.
That's where it comes from.
Thought so. We were at the Queen's queue today.
Oh, yes.
And I have to say that lots of marmalade sandwiches on the floor.
Were there?
Yeah, apparently. No, there was, but just thought maybe, how do you feel about marmalade sandwiches?
Marmalade sandwiches. I prefer mine toasted, really, and not in a sandwich form. An open sandwich, as in just one piece of toast with marmalade on, lashings of butter, And that sounds pretty good to me, but not that jelly marmalade, because that's disgusting. I like the stuff with lumps in it. And I'm glad that you brought that topic up there, Jessica and Amber. Thanks for that. 0345 6060 973. No, I don't know either. Glasgow. Hello, Eric. Eric. Yes, there you are. Hello, Eric.
Oi, geezer.
Yes. Go ahead.
I was just, but I'm just back from London visiting some friends actually for a funeral. A friend of mine, dear friend of mine from London, I was in the British Army with. Anyway, the phonetic alphabet, Nick. From Alpha to Zulu.
Yes.
People with a Scottish accent are deemed the most efficient and professional way in communicating via telecommunications through the phonetic alphabet.
Is that true?
And the reason being is because the Scottish people apparently pronounce all the vowels and all the everything else in the English diction perfectly. No,
well, it very much. Hang on a minute. It very much depends on where in Scotland you come from.
Yeah, but I think it's because it's such a coarse language that we pronounce every letter the way it's to be spelled, or the way it's supposed to be dictated.
See, I don't think it is. It's not a coarse accent, but some areas are coarser than others. Like where you're from, Glasgow, is like somebody with a strong Glaswegian accent is impenetrable. What they're saying cannot be understood by a large part of the country. I mean, if you put people in front of Rabsy Nesbitt, they won't be able to understand what he's saying. Whereas if you put somebody in front of somebody from the Highlands, for instance, or Edinburgh, then each syllable is pronounced perfectly, and so I know what you mean about that, but not near Glasgow.
That's marvellous, because after the British Army, after my time with the British Army, I had to go and, well, it was my choice. I went to work for Surrey Police, and I had to slow down the way I was speaking.
Yeah, otherwise the Surrey Police would dismisseth you.
Correct. Have a nice night.
All right, cheers, mate. 0345 6060 973. Mark in Upper Walthamstow says, I hate it when they say nothing and them days and something. Something irritates me the most, says Mark. It makes him very angry. Let's have the Wirral. Nora.
It's eggnog for me. I hate that one.
Eggnog?
Eggnog. People say eggnog and it should be eggnog.
Eggnog, yes. You
moving swiftly on.
Ignorant people. Yeah.
Well, when your name's Nora and then you go, oh, yeah, Nora. Yeah. Anyway. Don't laugh. I think it's funny.
Yeah, it's a little bit funny.
Okay. I was just going to say about the plastic on flowers. Why do they not put pot plants instead of flowers? I've always thought that. But because those things usually happen at a really sad time, it's not always, circumspect to say, well, why don't you leave a pot plant instead of, because then they could water them.
Yeah.
And then later on, make them into a little garden or something afterwards, couldn't they?
Yeah, well, that's a very nice thought. They could actually make something live in their name rather than give them something that's already dead.
A great big compost heap, yeah.
Yeah.
So pass that on for us, Emily.
Well, I think you've done an excellent job in passing it on yourself.
Thank you. I missed you so much last week.
Well, thanks, Nora.
I was lying on that Turkish beach thinking, what can I listen to? Because it was funerals.
And what was the weather like in Turkey there, by the way?
That's too hot.
Oh, yeah, too hot. Well, we don't wish to know that, Nora. But thanks for the postcard. But, oh, no, that's right. You didn't send one.
Welcome back.
All right. Cheers, Nora. 0345 6060 973. Carnforth, Ayapani.
Hey up, Nick. I'm just ringing because I missed the bit where you were talking to the lady about H and H.
Yes.
But I know you've done it before and everything, and I do have to say that you're not correct about that. If you are somebody who speaks Hiberno English...
What's that?
it's the English that is spoken in Ireland, and it is different. It's a type, I suppose, of English, and the grammar is different, and some of the pronunciations are different. You won't find anybody in Ireland that says H. It's H. If you listen to the national broadcaster, they say HSE, which is their...
Don't say that.
It's their health service. It's the health service executive, and it's always HSE.
Oh, you said it again.
Yes. So so a lot of people here will say it, but they're quite often people who have got Irish parents or Irish grandparents, so they learn it as children, and it means I can tell straight away, because I listen to the Irish radio quite a lot, and I've got Irish roots as well myself. I can always tell when somebody has Irish roots, or because of some of the way they speak, and the grammar's different.
How do they pronounce it?
H.
Oh, you did it again.
And they say things like, I noticed things because I did French A-level, and I noticed that some of the grammar is quite similar to French grammar, and I don't know if that's because of the Norman influences in Ireland, or whether it's something to do with the Irish, the Irish language, the Gaelic language.
They're going to need some instruction, and we'll start with the letter H.
It doesn't bother me. I don't know why it irritates people so much.
But I want you to sit down and open your books at the letter H.
I do say H myself, but...
well, thank goodness for that.
It's great-grandparents I had that were Irish, although on that side
I don't know. They don't sound that great to me. Here, Annie, I've got to go because look at the time, but thanks for that. I do apologise to all the people who were waiting to speak to me, and particularly the billions of people who sent me texts and emails that I didn't get round to. In a brief 3-hour show, I can only read, 4,000 texts. So better luck next week. I'll be back Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Don't forget the podcast, which is available on Global Player only. If you listen to the podcast of this show, the one that we strip the news and the ads out, called Nick Abbot, the whole show, only on Global Player. All other podcasts are, we're sort of fading that out. So only on Global Player. That's where you'll find it. 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 Player. That's where you'll find it.
Vẫn rừng rực lửa hương, vẫn kiên cường, đôi tuyết trắng vươn lên, màu hoa nắng sưởi ấm lòng đêm lạnh. Em cười ấm áp, xua tan hiu quạnh, đôi vai mềm nặng gánh vàn neo đường, bao dại sầu đôi tuyết phơi dầm sương, yêu con trẻ